Winter Roses, Autumn, by Fairytalelovr, Chapter 13. Varys watched from his window the comings and goings of the courtyard below. It was a way to keep eye on things, certainly, but not the most effective. Nothing was more effective than his little birds running around the city, across Westeros and Essos, in fact. He watched as Littlefinger got out of his litter and came inside the castle. It hadn't been hard, hours ago, to discover where he was headed. From the direction he had taken, and knowing the date, it had been only too easy. Dates were very interesting, Varys had found out a while ago. He was certain Catelyn Tully would disagree with him on this point, though. But that wasn't the point. The point was wondering what the Master of Coin was up to. From the moment he had discovered Princess Lyanna had perished in childbed, soon after the arrival of her brother, he had wondered. It hadn't taken much of a leap as to ascertain the baby's identity once Ned Stark had arrived in the capital, claiming him as his bastard. Varys had feared people would question it, had even devised a plan to get the boy smuggled out, but no one even batted an eye. Perhaps he was too perceptive in comparison to the common people, or perhaps not knowing the princess carried a child, nor that she had been raised to princess at all, made people unable to even imagine such a possibility. And, as it were, the heir to the Iron Throne, the rightful and lawful king, went safely to Winterfell, betrothed to a Targaryen no less, and Robert had thought he had laughed last on the matter. But Varys had kept an ear out. Perhaps someone would make the leap, or perhaps people would want to get Daenerys interred in the Sept, and since Robert had had her betrothed, the easiest way would be to unmake the betrothal and push her into the Silent Sisters before Robert could betroth her to anyone else. As Robert would never go back on his word, the only way to unmake the betrothal would be to kill either Daenerys Targaryen or Jon Snow. Anyone with a brain would go for the bastard, not the princess. Varys had unmade at least 8 attempts from Casterly Rock, but he had been expecting Tywin Lannister would act to neutralize the most obvious potential threat to his daughter and grandchildren. He had cursed loudly when he had heard about the near miss when Jon Snow was but a baby. He had been so worried about tracking assassins from the west, though someone had taken from the east had slipped him by. And it hadn't taken him long to track to whom the whorehouse, and from there to Littlefinger. That soothed him a bit. If Littlefinger suspected the boy's true identity, he wouldn't have sent an assassin by himself, on his own money. He would have told Robert or Tywin Lannister, and let them deal with the issue. Lord Tywin, most likely, as Robert would be unwilling to believe Ned Stark capable of such betrayal. It was likely one of Lord Baelish's attempts to win favour with Catelyn Tully, as it was no secret to anyone that he was deeply in love with her. Therefore, when Lord Stark had written about what had happened in Winterfell's nursery, Varys didn't have to think long to have a suspect. It was the same poison, the same cruel and unorthodox method used against Jon Starling. But why had Littlefinger acted now? Catelyn Tully was long disgraced, and, even so, it would have been easier to reach Craigenstach when there were people in the capital, when there were more people to blame, and it was closer and cheaper to send men. He also doubted the Master of Coin would have trouble to reach into the Midnight Fortress. So why waste time and money in sending men as far as Winterfell? And what was the cause? Chaos is a ladder, Littlefinger had been kind enough to share, elucidating quite a number of things. Chaos, indeed. And the easiest way to drive Westeros into chaos right now was to pitch Starks against Lannisters. But Lord Baelish was good. He had to be, to rise from a nobody boy from the Vale to Master of Coin. Varys suspected him because he kept his eyes and ears opened, and his memory was capable of keeping to such small details of events long gone by. But he had left no piece, no crumble left to follow. Well, no one that led to him. They all pointed to the poor spice merchant. so Littlefinger had decided against telling the Starks about Littlefinger's involvement. Ned Stark would call for his head, and Robert would undoubtedly believe him. But Lord Baelish was too true to his chaotic ways. Better not tempt fate just yet. However, that meant his promise to Illyrio to get the restoration underway would have to wait just a bit longer. Varys couldn't set a plan in motion until he knew exactly where everyone stood. Besides, Illyrio's concerns were based on the Iron Bank calling in the Crown's debt because trade was going down. With Ned Stark's plan to raise money for the treasury, the issue was solved. Watch and listen. That was what would be best for now. Watch and listen. And, in the meantime, Jon and Daenerys Targaryen would add to their number of heirs and grow their army and their navy, and even grow richer with their mines. Patience was indeed a virtue. Jon was in his solar, poring over reports from the mines, when Maester Walken came in. "A raven, my lord, from King's Landing. It has your father's seal." "Thank you, Maester. Oh, Maester, Lord Tarley brought to my attention that my sister, the Lady Arya, had arranged for a few friends to have reading lessons from your assistant." "She did indeed, my lord. I hope it was not overstepping." "No, not at all. I merely meant to ask." "Is it taking the man from his duties?" "No, my lord. He assures me he holds the lessons at times that wouldn't clash with the servants' duties either." "Good. Lady Starling brought up a good point to attention. Lord Tarley said one of the servants being taught is one of our smiths, and that, prior to this, Lord Tarley had to send symbols to the forge saying what was to be ordered. Lady Starling pointed out that it would be more efficient if the master smith knew how to read, as Gendry now does." "I see, my lord. Your idea, then, is to expand the group of people having lessons?" "Not by much," Jon said. "But if we had one person in each area that could read, it would certainly make things easier, wouldn't it? It is the same thing we needed to do at the harbour. Teach one sailor in each shift to make sure ravens could bring messages quickly from there to the fortress, instead of having the messenger take an hours-long trip sailing up a river, communicating, waiting for a decision, and then hours again downriver. If, for example, the head cook could read, then Lady Starling or Lady Cristark could simply send a message by any servant passing by, rather than ask said servant to go down to the kitchens and summon the cook, take the woman from the work to come all the way back to the family wing." "The idea has merit, of course, my lord. Should I make a list of people who would benefit from such?" "Aye, Maester, thank you. And make sure you include a few people from the high up in the mines. Master Gross is complaining about his workload, and I'm sure a couple of literate assistants might solve the problem." The Maester nodded and bowed, leaving the room. Jon ripped the seal and opened the letter. Then he exhaled. A weight lifted from his back, and went in search of his wife. After a few minutes, one of the guards finally sent him on the way to the seamstresses. "Wow!" he exclaimed as he saw Dany standing on the little stool. "You look—" "Stop, Jon. It's not even finished yet." "Where are you planning on wearing this?" Dany sighed, trailing her fingers over the silk. "Sam and Gilly's wedding. I decided red wouldn't be the best choice for Rob and Marjorie's wedding." "No, most likely not," Jon said. "Not so sure it will be a good choice for here either." "Which is why I am wearing red and blue, not red and black. That's daring enough, I think." "Wait, but have Sam and Gilly set a date for their wedding?" Jon asked, trying to remember if his friend had mentioned anything. "I thought it was still an abstract idea." "Sam loves her, Gilly loves him. Why wait? I might have to do some nagging, and no, they don't have a set date. But a dress fit to attend a wedding does not get done overnight. So I'm taking a head start," Dany said, and Jon chuckled. "Why are you here, exactly?" "Perhaps Lord Starling decided to pay me the compliment of allowing me to do my work," Kira said, looking up from Dany's hem. "I barely have the set of clothes for Lord Rob's wedding, and they won't get ready overnight either." "Oh, no, Kira, I actually—" Actually, whatever it is you came to tell me, you can tell me once you try on the clothes. Once Kira is done with my hen, you can take my place.
Danny, John whined.
John, your brother is the heir to the north, and he is getting married to the daughter of the Warden of the South and Lord Paramount of the Reach, in the Sept of Baelor, no less, with the whole realm and even the king attending. You are not wearing your everyday clothes. If it makes you feel better, Ella annoyed Rob on the matter while we were in Winterfell, because she knew once they were gone to the capital, there would be no lady in the castle to persuade him.
John grumbled, thinking that it didn't make him feel better at all, but accepting that the clothes another seamstresses were giving him. He knew his lady wife was right, and that it would be easier to just do it now rather than keep putting it off. Besides, if Aunt Isla had heard about it, she would join in the pestering, and, as it happened in Rickard's pregnancy, being with child made her 3 times as much fussier as usual. So he just gave Danny the Raven Scroll and went behind the screen to change. My dear son, I write to inform you that Lord Varys found sufficient evidence on the nursery attack against a spice merchant from here in the capital, a man named Clarence. He had cause, because I cut the corruption and he fell on hard times. The king held a trial this morning, and the man was found guilty. Northern justice was done in the afternoon. I hope everyone is well over there. Love, Lord Eddard of House Stark, Lord of Winterfell, Lord Paramount of the North, Warden of the North, and Hand of the King.
Good, Danny said. It should at least send a message to the next mad person who wants to send an assassin to the north.
In what is up to Rhaelos and Adam. If someone else sends an assassin to the north, they will die in agony after failing to reach the family,
John said, coming out from behind the screen. Even better, Danny said, taking his hand to step down from the stool. Kira, what about the clothes for next week's feast? She asked, going back behind the screen. Patrick picked up Lord Starling's this morning. I'd have kept them had I known you'd stop by, my lord. Yours are in the other room, milady. I'll have them brought to you.
I still want to know how you convinced Aunt Isla to allow you to throw a feast, John said. She loves to fuss over us, but hates it when the fuss is about her.
Well, every woman has her secrets. I only told her that in this family we celebrate everyone's name days, and she was part of the family. Therefore, we were celebrating hers as well. It didn't take that much convincing.
John chuckled, deciding he didn't want to know. Then Kira began prodding at him with her needles, and he sighed.
Marjorie laughed, utterly delighted. Since it was her name day, breakfast had been turned into a family party, and her brothers were doing a superb job in keeping everyone entertained.
Sister! Sister! Sister!
Garland called, and she turned to him, noticing the servant standing next to him, obviously having just given him a message.
Your betrothed couldn't be here today, but he sent up this amazing gift to you, and asked for my help in delivering it. It's waiting down in the courtyard, but here is his letter.
Marjorie smiled, getting the parchment from Garland, who had a huge smile. So she had deduced Rob had indeed gotten her something she would enjoy. She gripped the grey direwolf seal with eager fingers.
My beloved, I eagerly await and count down the days until we are married. The closer it gets, the more anxious I am, and it shames me not to say it. I thought long and hard about what to gift you on this most special day, your 16th name day, and I reached the conclusion that my poor taste would never be capable of choosing a dress worthy of your beauty, and I didn't want to rely on my lady stepmother or lady sisters. Then I thought I would have a lifetime to give you as many jewels as you deserve. Finally, I thought to give you something we shall both enjoy immensely in our new life, together in Winterfell. I hope it pleases you. Happy name day, my beloved, my own heart. I can't wait until we are reunited in King's Landing. All my love, Lord Rob of House Stark.
What is it?
She asked Garland. Come and see, little sister. I think you will like it.
Oh, let us all go, Lady Olenna said, standing up from her seat at the table. No use in keeping the suspense. They all went down to the courtyard then, and Marjorie was feeling her stomach bubbling with anticipation. There,
She gasped once the small group opened up the way to her. Gods! This is... She smiled, remembering Rob's words. We shall both enjoy it immensely in our new life. She could imagine it now. The green rolling plains Rob had described, spreading in front of them as they rode away. Her gift was a horse. A well-bred one from the looks of it. That's a Dornish racing horse, Willis said, smiling. They are sturdy and reliable, but among the fastest in the kingdoms.
Rob said they had one in Winterfell as he grew up, Marjorie said as she came closer, petting the horse's neck. It was the stud who fathered Lord Starling's and Rob's horses, and those are some of the fastest ones I have ever seen. I think that's a way of saying he intends to go riding with you, sister, Loras said. Good. He intends to spend time with you, my love, rather than coming to fulfill his husbandly duties at night and forget you during the days, Olenna said, very happy and satisfied. He will be a good husband, I think. Marjorie only smiled. She agreed with her grandmother. Marjorie watched the servants carry the trunks out of her chambers with mixed feelings. It was not the first time she left Highgarden, but it was the first time she was leaving without knowing when she would return, if she ever would. After all, Winterfell was quite far away to simply make visits, and, being deep inland, she couldn't even rely on the swiftness of ships. Seeing her chambers unmade. It was different than taking a few clothes and small belongings. Everything she cared for had been packed into the trunks, along with her bride's trousseau, and the maids even stripped the bed already. The bedchamber didn't look hers anymore. Just one more room in the castle. It was the first step of the end of Marjorie Tyrell, and she was so nervous. What if she didn't like being Marjorie Stark? What if, regardless of what fondness they shared now, she and Rob grew apart and she started to hate her life? Marriages were forever, and there was no escaping from an unwanted husband. Or, if there was, her soon-to-be good mother was proof of. The alternative was not desirable. She fingered the direwolf pendant on her necklace, trying to calm her nerves. She was bringing a few cousins as her ladies, and she was certain she would make friends in Winterfell. And grandmother was right. Her name-day gift showed Rob had put thought and effort into her happiness, and, more than that, he really wanted them to spend time together. Taking a deep breath, she took her cloak from the armchair and left the room, making sure to pull the door closed behind her. It was time to take the leap and start a new chapter in her life. All the adults laughed at Lyanna's disappointed face when Sam opened the package. You don't like books? Sam asked. Look, this one is about the history of the Seven Kingdoms. Books are boring, the little girl said. I like horses.
Well, Sam likes books, Leah, John said with a shrug.
Do you know how many kingdoms became one realm, Leah? Sam asked, putting the book away carefully. Aye, she exclaimed excitedly. My Anne, some old family and manners came in wagons, and they told the old kings to become only one castle. It's the old red castle where Grandpa works now. The adults laughed again. It was a good childish version of history, but then again Lyanna was only 2 years old. Mama, when my dragon will clack, Mama, I want to fly too. There hasn't been a dragon flying in a very long time, Leah, Daenerys said. The eggs haven't cracked in a long, long, long time. The eggs are only stone now, little love, Isla said. No, Auntie, my egg is live. I know it, Lyanna said. I can feel the dragon in there, but she is sleeping.
Your dragon is a girl dragon? John asked with a smile.
Of course, Papa. Boys are boring too.
Keep thinking like that for the next 20 years, little love, John said, getting more chuckles from the gathered adults.
Sam, can you tell me the story again? How about we help Sam finishing opening his name day gifts, Leah? Any of the gifts is a horsey, Mama. The adults laughed again. Little Sam was down for a nap, but little Adam and Rickard were practicing their baby steps across the room, where Benjamin and Adam were watching them. Finally, it seemed like they were tired, because they just sat down and the man brought them over to where the others were gathered. Well, actually, Sam said, now that we are all here, I wanted to... He cleared his throat. I wanted to make an announcement. You see... Well, just say it already, Sam. Gilly smiled and prodded him. All right. You're right. Well, I don't think this will surprise anyone, much less Danny and Isla, Sam said as his cheeks blushed deeply. But Gilly and I have decided to get married. There was loud cheering. I'm so happy for you, Danny said. It's about time. We haven't had a wedding since Uncle Benjamin and Aunt Isla. I've never gone to a wedding, Leanna said, jumping onto Gilly's lap. Well, the bride said with a smile, if you would like that, and your parents agree. Sam tells me in southern weddings, there's always a little girl who brings the flowers. Ooh, can I do it? Can I, Mama? Please? Well, if you behave, I don't see why not, Danny said. But that will mean that Kira will have to make a special dress for you. Leanna frowned, as if that part was disagreeable. But then she smiled. It is fine. Sam and Gilly deserve a special dress. The adults laughed again as John called for drinks to toast the announcement. Maester Marwyn followed the young squire down the corridor to Lord Stark's solar. He had arrived at the capital on the day before, though since it was late afternoon, Lord Stark had insisted on only meeting this morning. It wasn't in Marwyn to waste time, but the messenger sent to welcome him had been insistent, saying that the Lord Hand had already retired for the day with his lady wife and children, so the Archmaester was left with no option but to wait. Welcome to King's Landing, Archmaester, Ned said. Thank you for travelling so far. But I did not think it was a matter to be treated in letters. Certainly not, my lord. The waste of time alone, he shuddered. Only those with nothing to do waste their time, my lord, and I am no such man. Then we agree on this, Maester, Ned said. There are two matters which we must treat with all haste. Maester Lewin said you could be trusted regarding the... well... He sent me a small transcription of Maester Wallace's journal. I must say, we can't wish the impossible, my lord, but I do wish it could be different. Thank you. And I would, of course, be most willing to help you get rid of the grey sheep. The grey sheep? Oh, yes, the Archmaester said and rolled his eyes. The fools that wear grey robes of a maester, their chains, but do not honour their vows, or they honour some sort of foolishness. They are not interested in knowledge. They are interested in knowledge they care about. In the world they want, as they want it. And that world, my lord, it has no place in it for sorcery or prophecies or glass candles, much less for dragons. I always knew there was something there. I just never imagined this conspiracy of theirs was so widespread. I knew, from the moment I first faced the backlash of studying the higher mysteries, that they were manipulating things. After all, who do you think killed all the dragons the last time around? Gallant dragon slayers armed with swords? History shows us that swords don't fare well against fire-breathing beasts. Otherwise, the field of fire would have ended quite differently, I believe. Ned took a deep breath. As you well know, Archmaester, my good daughter is Daenerys Targaryen. My grandchildren carry dragon blood. The grey sheep, as you call them, murdered my daughter because she was an inconvenience that would have brought House Stark close to a Targaryen ally. I don't care to understand why they haven't sent anyone after Lady Starling or the children yet, but I will not lose anyone else. I will burn down the Citadel before that happens if I must. I do not take your justified rage from you, Lord Stark, though I would like to point out that, other than a very few innocents, the books... I abhor the loss of any knowledge, but there is much in the Citadel that would be forever lost. It would be like the Doom all over again. Of course, Archmaester. I shall keep to my sword then.
Very good. On that matter, there is something we must discuss. After Mr. Lewin's letter, I went searching for more information. I came across another convenient journal.
Ned stiffened.
One of the High Septon in office during the rebellion. Ned stiffened. It seems it isn't only your grandchildren who carry dragon blood,
Marwyn said, placing the journal on the table.
This is the original. As far as I know, I am the only one who saw it, as it was still in the sealed box sent by the Sept of Baelor after the High Septon's death. But in case you need proof.
Ned looked down at the little book, as if it would sprout fangs and attack him.
I myself am interested in dragons and glass candles and prophecies, my lord. So you don't need to worry. But you said you had 2 matters. What is the second one? Ned cleared his throat. It's about my recent journey to Castle Black. My sons went beyond the wall and found things. As you say, the grey sheep in the Citadel will disregard it and try to call it untrue. Beyond the wall? But you can't... You mean the White Walkers? Aye, Archmaester. White Walkers and their foot soldiers. Whites. And from reports from the Free Folk, they are moving south. I must prepare the realm for their inevitable attack. Oh, but... Truly?
Marwyn asked, and Ned nodded, though he wasn't comfortable with the look in the man's eyes. Death was marching south to annihilate them all, and the Archmaester was excited.
Well, obviously that presents a number of difficulties. But the White Walkers... You know, Lord Stark, I have deeply studied tales from the Long Night, all its lore, and even prophecies about it. And to think...
Marwyn smiled slowly.
Oh, the prophecy! It would be coming to life before their very eyes. How amazing! But the wall... It was built to keep them out, was it not? Archmaester, you just spoke of what history shows us. What history shows me is that there is no obstacle that is unsurmountable to a motivated person. This Night King is moving south, and I doubt he will content himself with stopping at the wall, especially now that the Free Folk are crossing south. I would rather prepare for the eventuality of the wall coming down than being caught unaware when it does. The North is my land, and under my protection, and they will fall first if the dead cross the wall. You are absolutely right, my lord. What is it you need of me? Putting it blankly, Archmaester, I need your wisdom and research skills. Maester Raymond has too many books at Castle Black, and no eyes to read them, nor a literate assistant to aid him. So far, we know of 3 ways to fight Wights. Fire, Dragonglass, and Valyrian Steel. But only the latter 2 will work against White Walkers, who can freeze fire and shatter common steel with their bare hands. We need to find other ways to combat them. Lord Starling has a reserve of Dragonglass in his mines, which he is already mining, but it would be better if we could find more reserves. Dragonglass is a volcanic glass, Lord Stark. Find a volcano, and you will find Dragonglass. But if I were you, I would ride to the Citadel. Ask the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch to do the same. Maester Raymond and I can both supply you with a few trustworthy names to go up there. I, of course, will go to meet with Aemon and see it with my own eyes. But before that, however, I would like to peruse the Royal Library. Targaryens kept several Valyrian books, and they viewed books as a source of knowledge, but also a sign of status and privilege. So they were never shy about purchasing more. I am certain the Grandmaster will welcome you, Archmaester. Well, I am certain he won't. Marwyn laughed. Pycelle is a snobbish bitch, if you would forgive my bluntness, Lord Stark. Oh, he is deep in this conspiracy. Of that I have no doubt. And we were never the grandest of friends. But he will put up with me, if only to spy on me. I should like to meet with your sons as well. They should be on their way to the capital soon, Ned said. My heir, Lord Robb, is getting married to the Lady Marjorie Tyrell in a few weeks. You would be most welcome at the ceremony, of course, Archmaester.
Marwyn chewed his lips for a moment, thinking. He did hate to waste time. But then a trip to Winterfell would take longer, and would be of absolutely no use if Robb Stark would be gone by the time he arrived.
Very well, he said. I shall stay and research the royal library until your sons arrive, Lord Stark, and then I can go to Waymon. I think he and I will have a lot to talk about.
End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that one. So yes, Marwyn the Mage is here as well. I like that, and I love that wedding present for Marjorie. Rob might not be as smooth as John because John's loved Dano for so long, but he knows a thing or two, and he's doing it out of love. Calling Marjorie his own heart. I love that. That might be a reference to the actress plays Marjorie, played Anne Boleyn, and she called baby Elizabeth her own heart as well. So if that's a reference, it's a good one. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye, my guys, gals, and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.